Athletic Dads, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in. TikTok shop got me again today, man. Any AI shirt that comes up on TikTok, shirt, sweatshirt, hoodie, I gotta get, man. It's like every shirt that I ever wanted as a kid growing up, being a huge fan of the 90s NBA, TikTok shop seems to have, and then better versions of that. So if I see an AI shirt, I gotta pick it up. To me, greatest athlete of all time, most influential athlete of all time. So we're rocking our new Allen Iverson shirt. And it's all the shirts I wanted as a kid, but I now have adult money. So I can now justify spending 15 to 20 bucks on t-shirts that I wanna wear when I train. So that's where we're at. So in good positive energy today. We are going to sprint. We've got some weighted sprints and we got some single leg jumps. Then we are going to get into our front squats, got some pull-ups and a plyo step-up variation. Then we're gonna finish with some isos. We're also gonna talk about the difference between front squat and back squat. What do you need? What should you be doing in your program that benefits you the most? We'll talk about why we do either one and how and why I program either one. So we're gonna have a great session today. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Appreciate your support. Appreciate the likes and comments and all the above and everything you guys have done to help me continue to grow this channel. So let's get after it. Let's have a day. Let's go, man. All right, sprints and jumps, baby. Let's have a day. So we got the sled back, day one of the training week. So we're running our sprints. We've got weighted sprints and we've got single leg max effort jumps. Again, our sled back here behind me, we are going to load this thing up until we slow down a ton or until the harness snaps. So whichever one happens first. Unfortunately, the latter has happened a few times. We're in the return process with Amazon trying to figure out exactly what that needs to look like, but we're going weighted sprints here, 20 yards. We've got a set down and back, then we've got max effort single leg jumps. We're just building a hurdle up, jumping off of one leg, landing on that same leg. I'm a really good 2-foot jumper, so I love training max effort single leg jumps because that's the more difficult jump for me. But we've been warming up, jumping around, building up our sprints, some of the sub-maximal stuff for about 20 minutes now. So feel pretty good. Again, we got 2 reps here and then we go into the jumps, which we'll show you as we get into that. Got 90 pounds on the sled here, so I expect it to be pulling me back a bit. I'm just trying to push as hard as I can through the ground, trying to get really efficient as we accelerate out of this. So the idea is weighted run. Then once we take the weight off, should feel pretty good, feel pretty snappy, feel pretty fast. All right, hurdles maxed out here at 42 inches. Like we said, build up kind of as long as you need to run into it. I'm trying to carry a ton of horizontal speed and horizontal force vertically, so that's the skill component when it comes to dunking. So that's what I'm thinking about as we're doing here. Trying to build some speed into it. Again, we're gonna go off the left, up and over, land on the left, so you get pretty good impact, pretty good landing, stimulus to that left foot. Then we'll swing back around, go on the right. We got 2 on each side. Added a little more weight to the sled here, so we got a 25 on. We also got Mike on the aux today. Shout out my brother-in-law, Anthony, for putting me onto Mike a couple years ago. And shout out to my Steves out there. If you know, you know. Oh yeah, good fatiguing rep there. Again, trying to stay as horizontal as possible, pushing through the ground, really driving my knees forward, setting myself horizontally here. If you listen to any Alex Hormozi, his definition of learning is same situation, different outcome. So been running my sprints recently. Each time I go to run, mic goes flying off. So I'm much smarter now from experiencing that. Now I'm just holding onto the mic, talking, and then putting it down on my side as I go to run because I have learned. All right, going up in height here. Let's go up 4 inches. So let's go up to 38 on the hurdle. Left is successful. And I think a big underrated piece of this is that landing, right? I'm landing differently every single time. Even if I tried to control my landing, it would be impossible to do from this height. So getting really good exposure to the foot and to the ankle and to the knee, basically bracing that impact as I land, just gives me more confidence, whether it be playing pickup basketball, throwing the football around, just sprinting, running, jumping in general. It's good that I don't have inhibition to land from whatever depth I'm jumping at because I'm getting good reps and good exposure and good practice here. Again, super important for current athletes and really an underrated aspect of max effort jumps. All right, as we're working up to a heavy front squat, we're doing our banded plyo step-ups, and then we're gonna do 3 max effort reps of pull-ups. The idea here is start as wide as you can, and then as you fatigue that position, each set we're gonna move our hands in, so that closer our hands get to our body, the easier the position is gonna be. So we're gonna start at the hardest position, which is gonna be as wide as possible. We're gonna do as many as we can do, and then we're just gonna build 3 sets from there. Ooh, 16. And then we've got these banded plyo step-ups. So I'm wrapping a band underneath the bench, just like we talked about in the plyo step-ups before. I'm trying to punch through the bench here, extend my hips as aggressively as I can at the top. Think about this just like that max effort vertical jump we did earlier on one leg. That was a bit horizontal, right? Because I had to cover some ground to get up and over the hurdle and over the bench. So this is gonna be just straight vertical. The only somewhat sussy part about this is as you get that foot up off the bench, the actual bench is gonna come up off the ground because you've got all that band tension going into it. So that's why I'm gonna start here in the middle, right, with my foot in the middle. So as the bench picks up off the ground, it'll go right back down as the band pulls me down in that position. So I just have 3 reps as powerfully as I can push through this bench and into this. If I was programming something like this for our athletes, I would have an individual on each side holding the bench down, but I'm not too worried about it for myself. Strategy that I really like for programming accessory movements along with a main strength movement is to program more of the main compound movements than you do the accessories and knock out the accessories early on in the main strength movement. So when you're putting energy into the accessories, in this example, the pull-ups and the plyo step up, I still don't have a ton of weight on the bar for the front squat, but by the time I get done with 3 sets of the accessory movements, then I'll be up to good working weight on the compound movement, which in this scenario is the front squat. And then we're gonna use that rest time to actually rest instead of waste some of our energy on some of the other accessory movements. Set 2 of the pull-ups, so I was real wide the first one. Now I'm gonna go about a hand in from there. Another AMRAP set, so as many as I can bang out here. Ooh, 17. Last set on the pull-ups here, so we went wide a little closer, and then now I'm gonna go basically as close as I can get my hands here, so almost stacking it, so even closer than a chin-up grip. I like that grip for different stimulus for the lats, and it's a little more difficult of a pull-up to be real narrow like that, just because elbows gotta flare out a little bit, gotta keep your chest up. It's a difficult variation, so that's what we're gonna rip for our last AMRAP set here. And if we understand that we build strength by hitting muscles at the most extreme ranges of motion, that narrow grip is really gonna give us the longest range of motion that we can hit in any type of pull-up variation. So it's a great variation to switch things up. It's a great challenge, but it's also great for aesthetics and muscle building, so it checks a ton of boxes. Should you front squat? Should you back squat? Should you do both? Should you do neither? Great question. So first thing you would think about is, why are you doing the movement itself? So why are you squatting in the first place? To me, we're squatting because we want to build strength through our lower body, specifically in our quads. So if I want to hit a compound movement for my hamstrings, I've got different exercises that I'm going to do than a squat. So I'm trying to focus on building strength through the quads when I squat. So the front squat is going to give you a better position and more leverage to be able to add stress to the quad, because the front squat, due to where the position is, the bar in your body, it's going to allow you to sit higher, keep your torso more vertical, which is going to allow you to drop down into deeper ranges of motion and really stimulate the quad, because your chest is going to be upright. When you back squat, the bar going on the back is going to change your torso position, leaning a little more forward. So that's going to take some of the stress off the quads, put a little more stress into the low back and hips, which ultimately can be a good thing if that's what you're trying to get accomplished out of the movement. A back squat, you're also going to be able to add more overall load. So you are going to be able to back squat more than you're going to be able to front squat. So if we're going just for overall systemic fatigue, then a back squat is a great movement, because outside of the deadlift, that's going to be the variation of a lower body exercise that you're going to be able to lift the most weight. If the goal is overall load, how much you can squat down and stand up with, then the back squat is the variation you're going to want to choose. If the goal is strength through the quad and building aesthetic, good-looking quads, then the front squat is going to be the exercise there. I like using them both because I think both things are important. My goal when squatting is to build strength through the quad. So not only am I going to front squat pretty frequently, but I'm going to elevate my heels to add more stress to the quad, to be able to allow my knee to track further over my toe, getting my knee into deep, deep flexion, adding a ton of stress to that quad. And then when I back squat, I'm also going to elevate the heels, because that's going to allow me to sit a little more vertical into that position, but also because the position of the bar, it's going to allow me to put more weight on the bar. So a good program is going to include both front squats and back squats. If you want to feel the quads a little more, like I'm trying to do, elevate your heels on both of the movements, or use a weightlifting shoe. Both of those options are going to allow you to get done what you need to do. And another note on the front squat versus back squat, from my experience, you can front squat a ton and it will help build your back squat up. I don't see it working the same way, just because the positions are too different when you put the bar on your back. So it's good to keep front squats in the cycle. That's going to help build up your back squat. But if you really want a good quad dominant, upright torso, athletic position squat, you should do a ton of front squats and then try to match that same position when you get heavier weight with the bar on your back. So we've got about 2 more sets here, singles, working up to a top set of the front squat, and we're done with the other accessories now, so all of our energy is gonna go into the squats. The other thing about a front squat is, like, how many people are gonna go out to the bar on the weekends and brag to their boys about their front squat max? And even the dudes who do, how many of them are gonna care, right? So I think it's good to have a strong back squat, just so you can assert dominance over other dads who can't back squat the number you can. But again, you can build up that back squat and build up aesthetics at the same time by hitting front squats, so you might as well keep them in the program. And in the actual Athletic Dad training program, I just prescribe a barbell squat as the main variation, because I want to give individuals the opportunity to mess around with exercise variation. So if you're a pretty good front squatter, let's say, and a great back squatter, and you feel like what you want to build up is your front squat, use the front squat in that program. You'll still be able to use same percentages, use same time constraints, all that kind of stuff. But if you're trying to get back into training for the first time in a while, then back squat's a good place to start, because that's where you're going to see a lot of progress earlier on. You're not going to have to worry about the mobility issues and the positional issues that you have to kind of focus on when you're introducing front squats into a training cycle. So let's go ahead and hit 315 here so we can brag to our buddies about it. All right, we got some barbell split squat isos here to finish up. We got 15 seconds aside, 2 sets here. I'm gonna use this plate to have my toe on to elevate my heel, so I get a little more stimulus to the calf and Achilles here. 225 on the bar, 15 seconds to your side. Athletic Dads, that's a day. Continue to practice gratitude. Tell the people you love them. Live your life stimulated. See you guys in the next video.